within the instances of life and death, for example, there actually even exists one in which he actually already has the ability, and then secondly, why it would be a limitation which is relevant to what they're saying currently because they're talking about his limitation to his ability, not other abilities, like obviously.
So, question: you feel like Luffy would use this? Is that? Do you believe that?
Can I answer the question? Yes. To answer your question, it's likely that he would use it based upon the powers that I have. And then when you say that, by the way,
Wait, no,
let me clarify this. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
asking like
yeah.
just like Luffy has the
Anyways,
ability.
we said that you can't
I'm
make the
trying to
claim
get a wait. Stop, stop.
definitively.
I'm
We
trying
don't
to get a
need to make the claim
clarification on all.
definitively.
Wait. Okay, I
Hmm.
don't know why it's I'm just getting a clarification there.
You
So
interrupted.
you're saying that Luffy is capable of doing this, but he hasn't done it because he hasn't needed to do it at any point in time.
Luffy is capable of doing this. However, he just received the ability and hasn't had the chance to use it because there wasn't a circumstance in which pleaded the uses of the ability. Meaning to say that there was no reason for him to use it yet, dumbass.
At any point in time, and what chapter was that?
Don't know, don't
That
care.
he
The
gained
chapter's
that ability?
irrelevant. The entire point is that he does have the
It's
capacity, which please don't cut me off. Anyways, to finish what I was saying before I was really interrupted,
okay.
he does
Continue.
have the capacity. This scan justifies that he has the capacity. That's the point that we're on currently. Whether or not he has the ability, whether or not he's going to use the ability is a different point. Please
Yep.
stay on topic, Jester. Go ahead.
Everybody on topic. Yeah. So it seems 1044. That's Gyro to reference it. That's not the most recent chapter. Right? He gets it when he fights Kaido.
Nope, it's not
He
correct.
gets
Yep.
tier 5 when he fights Kaido.
I just said
Okay,
correct. Yep. That's it.
okay, so then we'll go over. Then he doesn't just recently have the ability; he gained the ability and then used it to fight Kaido, and
The
he fight
Kaido
him.
fight in perspective of the
Stop!
versus
Stop
recent.
interrupting me! Don't let him interrupt me. Thank you. Like I'm over that bull crap. Yeah, so he fights Kaido, doesn't use it, and he fights all the opponents that are like kind of life or death. So it seems like his friends are in this, especially the scenario where he was fighting Saturn, where it seemed to be the case that was an intense situation trying to release data to the public that would unveil the conspiracy of the world government. So if it's the case that he could just imagine himself doing it, he would have done it by now. He's had a lot of opportunities. It just doesn't seem consistent that he can do that. So unless you're going to address that point, we could literally just go to conclusions. Your argument's not consistent and the kid doesn't do it in character. It's not your character.
So when you say it isn't consistent, that seems to make me think you hold the belief that there exists some priors in which is incompatible with my claim. So I want you to present those priors. You probably don't know what those are, okay? There obviously doesn't exist any. You're just making a claim out of nothingness. And then the evidence for that fact is off of you saying that it isn't in character. It isn't consistent. Yes, it is consistent, Jester. Why is that? Why is it the case that Luffy doesn't just imagine all these things in which will be beneficial towards him? Well, maybe because he made the claim that it's in his personality. So rather than just imagining it or wanting to gain the information, he wants to experience the adventure and the journey of finding the One Piece, unveiling all of these secrets and theories, etc. He says this whenever Rayleigh or whatever. I'm sorry, please don't cut me off. Why was I muted
Go for it.
instantly
Go
when I
for it.
cut him off, Yugi? Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's just the case that whenever he's discussing with Rayleigh, for example, and Rayleigh or whatever his name is, offers to grant him information which will be relevant towards his crew and everything and all his goals, it's the case that he denied actually wanting that information. Why is that? Because, like I said, I'm repeating this so you can actually track. He wants to gain the experiences of the journey. Okay? Thank you. Anyways, now you saying that it's out of character for my character to do this thing is completely a claim that you can't justify. That's what you low-tiers do. You assert claims in which don't have any justification. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the claim that I made initially. It is in character for him to do that. Why is it in character for him to do this thing? Because it seems to be the case that my priors point towards how in every single scenario he's put in, he exploits features in which he has that will deal with the situation adequately. Okay. So if there's a situation in which he cannot win with his other features, if it's the case that he has this feature, he has this ability, he has this power, then it's in character for him to use it. Okay. Just because he didn't use it before doesn't mean it isn't in character. It's in character for him to use it in this cross verse hypothetical verse if it follows that none of his other abilities are rendered useful. Now, Jester, respond to the point by one, giving information in which is relevant, and then also two, defeating my points. Okay? Don't just ramble.
Okay. So let's just go over all the nothing burger he just spat out because he's still not
That shit
addressing
was so
points. And
ass.
I'll probably be ready to conclude after this because he's absolutely saying nothing. So the reason why it is relevant, I'm saying it's not in his character, is because you're conceding in your own point. You're saying that he would try to exploit them out first with this ability. The ability in question is him just imagining himself winning the fight, right? If Luffy doesn't just imagine himself winning the fight at any point in time, you don't have any evidence to assert that he would do that in a fight in the first place. Which is why I'm saying it's out of character, which is why it makes that point extremely relevant. And to address the other weird stuff, wait, let me grab it real quick. Oh, where did it? Oh, left the scan in general. Oops. Hold on. Can you repost the stuff, by the way?
Can someone please send the scan chat if there does exist a scan chat?
Yeah, can you just repost that?
Yo, Paulo, bro, I thought we was friends.
Your match part 7 million. If I want to get slammed after, yeah, we could go down to VC and you can slam me. We got it.
Yo, this nigga Kyle Rage, like, damn. From Celestia all the way to
Oh,
whatever
thank
this
you. Thank
server
you,
is,
brother.
bro. The dick ride, bro.
Yeah, oh, there it was. Yeah. So, and it just wouldn't seem consistent with the character of Luffy
Mhm.
or any of his iterations that he's willing to let his friends suffer and everybody in the world suffer to exploit the adventure of his powers when he could just end everybody's wrongfulness and suffering instantaneously. So it's not consistent with the narrative of One Piece or how he uses abilities. We don't even know if he has that ability in the first place to just wish things just disappearing and just doing that. That's what's also in question. And that ties all back around the consistency argument of him being able to use his ability. So you haven't responded to any of that. If you don't, we could honestly just go to conclusions.
Yeah, so for the debaters who are actually able to track, we would realize that the original claim he made, and let me repeat this, the original claim he made, or I apologize, the original question he held was whether or not it was the case that this is in character for him to do, okay? Now he's putting a burden on in which was not there initially. He's going to say it was there initially, but I never at all held the burden to justify that he actually had to do this after I sent the scans. He's saying that it's in question after I already sent the scans. So I want to ask you a question real quick because you realize that wasn't in question. You're just saying that now to add extra substance and speaking time so you can look smarter, okay? I want you to explain why it's in question if it's the case that I sent the scans and which seemingly provide motivation and justification, not just motivation, but also justification to the conclusion, okay? So I want you to explain why there exists some reasonable basis for one, a burden, and then two, for you to question this thing. Do you even hold a question towards the point that I just brought up, or are you just saying that? Now, in response to the other points, okay, I don't need to justify whether or not he's already done it in character. I don't need to justify whether or not he will do it in character in his verse. All I need to explain is as to why it's likely that he would do it in the hypothetical verse, which I already have, and you've yet to respond to my point, and which builds up likelihood for him doing it in the hypothetical verse where the battle is taking place. Now, when you say that it's out of character for him to allow all this unnecessary suffering to occur just for his own desires. I actually do not grant it at all. Depending on the level of suffering, I definitely do believe and agree that Luffy would perform some actions in which are incompatible with their desires, which will cause them to suffer to fulfill his own desire or goal, which he obviously does. Whenever he's on the sea, he's trying to find the One Piece. Guess what he's doing? He is combating people. There are people who want to find the One Piece or get money or be pirates or be Marines so they can actualize some desire. If that desire isn't actualized, then by definition, it would be suffering. There's an imposition of will there, okay? Meaning that to actualize his own goals, he actually is going out of his way to disrupt or impose on other people's desires, such as competitors like Marines or other pirates.
Okay.
So I want you to explain why there exists some factor or information which is disqualified to do. And then when you say, let me clarify this again, that he doesn't have the ability, or it's in question whether or not he has the ability, it's likely that he has the ability because the statement is made. And usually when statements are made to describe some ability within One Piece, it is actually accurate to what the ability is able to do. Okay. So what's the response? Go ahead.
Yeah. When I say suffering, it's indexed to like pain, destruction, death, and other
Mhm.
like violent crimes occurring, like shit that Doflamingo does. Luffy would not want that fate embarked on his friends, especially. You could never prove that if that's what you're claiming. It's pretty consistent that in One Piece, he's either looking for the One Piece, and at this point in time, he wants to stop Emu. If he had the ability, which is what's in question, if he had the ability, I said it's not consistent with his character because I'm putting in question Luffy even having the ability in the first place. If he had the ability, it would be more consistent with Luffy's character to just beat Imu and just claim the One Piece and stop everybody's pain and suffering and death around the world and the corruption that he's fighting against, been fighting against for so many years. that would be more consistent with Luffy's character, unfortunately for you. And so if that's the case, that that's more consistent with Luffy's character, then he would use his ability if he had it in the first place. But since he's not using the ability and instantly ending the show, it seems to be the case that Luffy can't just wish away all his problems and use the ability in that type of way. So if you have a response to that, you go ahead.
Yeah, so to repeat the claim a little bit more, because maybe you weren't tracking or something, it's the case that he can possess the ability. Please let me finish. I'm sorry, Yugi. Can you please mute him? He can't control himself. Thank you. That's what loser debaters do. They interrupt because they realize that they're not actually of substance. Anyways, to finish what I was saying, one, whenever you say the claim that Doflamingo doesn't, or he exhausts whatever's going on, or whatever Luffy doesn't want to cause unnecessary, these are just claims. I make claims, I can justify them. You make claims, you can't justify them. That's because of our intelligence distinction, okay? My intelligence is higher than yours, okay? So let me respond to this point. Please listen, use your ears, open up. It's just a case that whenever he's going against Doflamingo, he doesn't have Gear 5, and I understand you're just using that as an example. Hopefully, you weren't trying to say that he didn't use Gear 5 against Doflamingo, therefore he doesn't have Gear 5. What you're trying to say, or I apologize, what you're saying currently is that, well, if he has Gear 5, why isn't he using it? I've already explained why he isn't using it. On my side, it seems to be the case that it's in character for him not to use an ability in which would instantaneously allow him to actualize his goals for specific contexts, such as receiving the One Piece or defeating Emu or whatever his name is, because the powers that I use are his exhaustion of features within battles. Listen, battle to battle, it seems that he exhausts all of his features until he realizes that there's something in which he needs to do and that he actualizes that thing that he needs to do, okay? So that may be, for example, he has Gum Gum Shotgun. He uses that ability. It isn't effective. He has one more ability, Gum Gum Spin Around. Gum Gum Spin Around is the last ability that he exhausts, and he uses it, and it's successful. It actualizes the goal that he possesses, which is defeating the enemy on the other end, okay? So, yes, just because he doesn't use the ability or he's never used it in One Piece doesn't mean he doesn't have it. It doesn't mean it's likely he doesn't. It doesn't mean that's even possible that he doesn't have it. I've already explained why it's likely that he does have it and why it's likely he would use it in a hypothetical verse. Track, please, okay? So it's just a case that he doesn't use it within One Piece because of some character training, which I've already explained. I'm not going to repeat it for a fourth time. And then seemingly, whenever you say that it isn't inconsistent, all right, apologies, it is inconsistent, it isn't something that's a part of his character, you have evidence for that claim. So I'm going to ask you once again, what's the evidence that you have for the claim that you can present and which justifies that Luffy not using the ability until it's out of character for him to use the ability within an instance in which he exhausted all his other features, or he doesn't even assess that his other features are, I apologize, he gives an assessment that his other features are not sufficient when it comes to actualizing the goal. And then the final point that I would like to bring up.
Good, bro.
I think you lost the point, guys. We are losing the plot. We are losing the plot, guys. Where is he? I think he lagged out.
He's crossing back up.
Unless he, yeah. Oh, here, let me put it back up. There you go. It could be me again.
By the way, real quick, since there's like a little bit of intermission, just to be fair, I'm gonna do the thing for Infinity where if like I hear any noise from the other person, I mute them for the rest of the talking time. Alright.
Okay. Do that problem is because I'm fair now. I'm not a perm abuser. I don't abuse my perms in debates with people, even if it is in my server. I think that's really lame. I want people to feel free to debate me there.
You hear me?
Hello? Did we get Infinity?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, hello, you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we can conclude. I'm sorry, like this is too low tier. Like,
He forgot the point. Yeah, we can move on. We just get to
I definitely give the point. It's obviously if you heard me say the example, you didn't hear.
Yeah, are you ready?
What probably happened? I cut out probably. So would you like me to repeat the point so you can? Wait, are you dodging the point? So you are ducking the point. Okay, the point's irrelevant.
No, I responded to it. I think I responded.
Wait, so you responded to a point that I've yet to present? I'm sorry. What? How did I lose a point that you responded to? Wait, I'm sorry. I said I was going to bring a new point. Do you believe that I should repeat the point, or are you fine with us concluding?
What is he talking about?
He's
you don't even know what you're trying to say. That's why you're fumbling over your words. Let's conclude.
Don't do the weird meta shit. Do you guys want to move on or no?
Weird meta shit is pointing out his flaws. Yes.
I'm ready
Let's
to
move
Infinity,
on.
are you ready to move on?
Yes, as I said,
Okay.
3 times plus.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
move on to my win con. Yeah, I
No, I'm
think my
good.
character.
So for my next
What are you
scaling, my
talking about?
character. I'm sorry, please don't cut
What
me
do you
off.
mean your
My
next
character
scaling?
has. I'm
Can
sorry,
you
please
server
don't
mute
cut
this
me off.
guy? This is insanity.
Wait. So I'm getting server
I
muted
was
for
starting
continuing
my
my
What
scaling my
the
scaling.
character.
hell?
Wait, so
Yeah, he's starting
Yugi,
up.
it's
He's
my
starting
line
up.
of
He's starting
scaling. I'm
up.
not doing it. Why would we
He
put
just
his
gave a
scaling
win
as
con. That
starting?
was that
Yeah,
was his
I
win
gave
con. I'm gonna
one
give
win
a win
con.
con.
Correct. Yes.
Jesus
Yes,
Yes, and if
Christ.
it
Jester.
goes through,
People
you win
debate
the
with
debate.
multiple points. Yes, it's
Okay,
not just
Yes,
one
and if it
point.
goes through, you win the debate. I was in the middle of
I'm
starting the
sorry.
debate.
So one
real,
win
real
con. Let me
quick.
finish it up.
Real quick. Both of you. Okay, listen, both of you. Infinity had the last time before he like lagged out or whatever. So I'm gonna give it to Jester. You can move on to other scaling for your character, Infinity. But I'm just gonna let Jester go first because Infinity had the last time.
Yeah, that was wild, and I was in the middle of starting my scaling, and he cut me off to do that, so that made no sense. So, that's ridiculous. Yeah, so to start off my scaling, my win condition is just my character is delusional, and because of his delusion, like reality around him ceases to exist. So, like he just refuses to believe your character is real, and he just gets erased from reality. Like this is passive, this is ongoing. So the moment the fight starts, you just cease to exist. You can respond to that. You can unmute him. What's up?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that because I was typing in chat because I got muted for some reason. So what was the claim
You
that you
didn't try?
made other than the fact that he's delusional and then also that he would erase my character's existence passively off of not granting my character's existing or character's existence? Go ahead.
What was the
Mm-mm-mm.
argument I made for that?
What was the claim that you made while I was muted?
Infinity, that kind of is the claim.
So is that just the claim? That's all you said? Okay, I'm dismissing anything else
Yeah,
which is irrelevant towards that.
he's
Okay, so can you send a
told
scan,
that.
please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, man. That was nice of you.
I know, man. I'm a nice guy. Like Ali.
Yeah, I
Shout out
don't know
to
about
Ali,
that.
man. Shout out to Ali.
Tight shit. This nigga is dissing me for saying please. Okay.
Good debate going on here, right, guys? Let's get a poll in chat, kind of mid game poll. See what the thoughts of the people are.
Yeah, there you go. It's in scans. It just
Okay,
clearly
man.
says that what is it? At the high levels of the quiet, the now can reshape the world in that mage's immediate vicinity. People might lose their voices and their presence, blur out things they've never said in their own, or just disappear until the mage leaves the room. That's the ability I'm referencing. You just disappear. He just erases you from reality. He's delusional.
Yeah, it just says might. So if there exists some feature of the world within your verse, at least in which allows that to occur, then obviously there's some possibility in which may be actualized depending on the scenario, but that's not general.
And what's your evidence for that? That's not general. What do you mean?
I'm sorry.
You're saying it
I'm
doesn't
going to repeat
work
the claim and then I
against
want you
you?
to
Are you
repeat
saying
what
it
you
doesn't
said
work
after.
against? I'm
I'm sorry,
asking
please
you.
don't cut me
I
off.
just want
Yeah,
you to
yeah, I'm
answer the question.
answering. Yes, when you ask a question, you have to allow the person to answer. Yugi, please
I
mute him
am.
while I'm
Go ahead.
speaking. You're not, you were cutting me off. But yes, listen to the claim real quick. It's a conditional. If it follows that there exists some feature of the verse in which allows for this possibility to be actualized, then it follows that this thing, at least specifically in reference to that context, is limited to X feature. So I'm gonna ask you a question real quick. Is there some feature in the verse, which there has to be, by the way, in which allows for this ability to be actualized? And it might, meaning that there must be some determination in my head, at least. Can you please present it? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Mm-mm-mm.
it sounds like your argument is a presupposition that there's needs to be like a special condition for the mage to be able to use this ability. I don't think that's the case. I just think it's the case that the guy is delusional, and the base states that mages are so delusional they erase reality around them. That's a generalized statement. There's nothing based on a special condition. It sounds like a presupposition you're making. If you think that's the case, you could affirm that and then try to prove that, which you never will because you can't read the board game. You probably can't read that. So if that's the case, then yeah, we could just stop that right here.
Yeah, so I never mentioned anything about a special feature. I said a feature obviously is going to be dependent upon something because it's reacting to something. Dumbass. If X exists and Y reacts to X, that means that Y's reaction to X is based upon X, therefore limited to X for that specific context. That's just analytical and tautological. Obviously, it's trivially true. It just follows that there exists some feature in which this ability reacts to. I'm asking you, can you present that feature? If you can't present that feature, then I don't know what the determination for this ability's actualization is. Therefore, you can't conclusively say whether or not he's able to use it within this specific hypothetical battle. Because
Reality.
Luffy, I'm please cut him off. Thank you. Thank you. You cut him off with your mute. Thank you so much, Yugi. Mwah. But therefore, you can't conclusively assert that he would make the decision to use this ability and it would be actually effective within the fucking hypothetical verse because we don't know whether or not Luffy has the same feature that this ability is reacting to. Secondly, it's the case that whenever it says he's shaping the world, well, anybody can shape the world. For example, when I walk, that's manipulating reality in some shape or form because if I were to walk and I stepped on a bug, that bug's death was not something in which existed in reality initially. Therefore, I'm manipulating some feature of reality. Therefore, I have reality manipulation to a low extent. So whenever they highlight that this character has reality manipulation, or he can shape the world, to what extent? Okay. Whenever you say he erases a character or a character might go blind or whatever, there may be some power system in which allows this to be the case. For example, cursed energy. If I have more cursed energy than you may not be able to speak around me, or you may not be able to walk around me because of my presence, or if I have more spiritual power than you, whatever. Some feature in which disqualifies the power from other units within the series. There obviously exists some feature. I want to pinpoint what that feature is. If you cannot pinpoint the feature, then you can't use this in a debate because you can't say it works on Luffy. If you pinpoint the feature and it's something which does not apply to Luffy, then you can't say it works on Luffy. If you do pinpoint the feature and it does work on Luffy, then it works on Luffy. So let's talk about it, man. Saying
Okay.
or telling me that I need to
Okay,
justify
can you server mute
generalize is
him?
kind of
Can you
irrelevant
server mute
because
him, actually? Can we just shut him up? Like, holy crap, he's still going, and he just finished, and he tries to continue. Regardless, everybody, if you guys think that point is coherent in English, you got to go back to school. That guy's an idiot. Regardless of anything, the only conditions that are stated in the scan that's necessary for that ability to work is reality and his delusion. And because the mage is delusional, and I'm assuming that me and this guy are fighting in some reality, and reality is the condition for this ability to work to erase reality. Yes, it would probably work on your character because it's real in some extent, if that's the case. And talking about the reshaping the world, and that could mean anything. Brother, if you can't read, it literally says on the scan that he removed somebody from existence. He's not stepping on a bug. This guy is just an idiot. So, unfortunately for you, we could continue it. If he feels like he addressed the point, I could conclude right now. I'm ready to go.
that shit was not rhetorical at all. Please mute him so he doesn't cut me off like he always does since he can't control himself. One, whenever you say we make presuppositions, yes, we make presuppositions when we speak. That's how that works. Secondly, with the generalization point, my initial point defeats that. However, it's generalized due to the fact that there's no specification when it comes to its limitation. So when I say generalized, that means to say that I'm making a generalization. If you were to say that you aren't making a generalization, presumably there's some reason as to why you're not making a generalization in which targets particulars of a set. So I want you to explain the particulars of the set or what reason you have to not make a generalization. I already gave the reason as to why I'm making a generalization. And then additionally, when you say that, well, it's talking about reality in the scan, therefore, nowhere in the scan does it say that it's reacting off of reality. Just because it manipulates something in the midst of reacting off of a feature doesn't mean that what it's manipulating is what it's reacting off of. It doesn't make any sense. So it's just a case that, sure, it can be manipulating reality. And I didn't say it can mean anything. I said it can be to any extent, retard. So yes, we all manipulate reality because we're able to change facts about reality. There exist temporal facts in which we manipulate. Therefore, we're manipulating reality by definition because reality is what there is. Okay. I'm saying there are extents. We don't know the extent. Obviously, they highlighted it. So I'll grant that it isn't something in which is the usual extent that we're able to perform. However, if it's something in which isn't the usual extent within his verse, then you have to explain why that doesn't apply. I apologize, does apply to the hypothetical verse. If they're manipulating some essential feature that every single character within the verse possesses, such as chakra, because without chakra, you die, for example, then it's the case that someone who doesn't have chakra will not get affected by this ability. So although he's manipulating specific features or aspects of some object X, if the object X requires some feature that actually been manipulated, then obviously there's going to be some feature in which is required. Yes, if a feature is required, it's required. That's tautological as well. Can we please include? Like, I'm sorry, this is retarded. Like,
Hello?
You're unmuted,
Hello?
Jester.
Yeah. Somehow this guy blew himself out the conversation. I don't know how. It's pretty clear that he's repeating his arguments from prior. He's still presupposing that this is based off some special condition that he's able to do this at. I asked him if he's going to assert that and prove that because the initial questioning is based off that presupposition that we don't know if it is the case or not, right? So he's basing off of something that I don't know, so I don't know either. So he has nowhere to go with that. And then to the ability